At a luxurious wedding reception in Lagos, everything looked perfect on the outside. Expensive flowers filled the air with sweet perfume. Gold decorations sparkled under the lights. A band played soft music while guests laughed, drank wine, and took photos. But at the center table, 22-year-old Chidimma sat still, her face frozen in a quiet sadness. Beside her was her new husband, Chief Uche Nwosu, a 61-year-old billionaire in a white agbada and red cap. He smiled proudly, holding her hand for the cameras. But her hand was cold and shaking. Guests whispered to each other as they watched the couple. See her face. Does she even want to be here? She married him for money, of course. She's just another greedy village girl pretending to be classy. Chidimma heard every word, though they were spoken behind fans and fake smiles. She kept her eyes on her glass of juice, afraid that if she looked up, the tears would fall. Her father, Pastor Ezekiel, stood by the head table giving a long, loud speech. His voice was full of joy. We thank the Lord for this divine union. We thank Chief Uche for accepting our daughter. Our family is honored. He lifted his cup. People clapped. But Chidimma's mother, Mama Grace, sat at the far end of the hall. Her eyes were wet, and she didn't clap. She looked at her daughter like someone watching a funeral. When it was time for the ring exchange, Chidimma's hands trembled. The chief slid the ring onto her finger slowly, smiling wide. She forced a small smile, but her lips twitched. Her fingers tightened for a second like she wanted to pull away. Later, the chief's grown son, Obinna, walked over and greeted her with a cold look. Congratulations, he said with no emotion. Welcome to the family, she nodded. He didn't smile. He looked her up and down, then walked away. At the toast, Chief Uche raised his glass. To my lovely wife, may this marriage bring peace to both our homes. People clapped again, but his voice had a strange edge to it. His eyes stayed on her like he was reminding her of something. A silent warning. Chidimma lifted her glass with shaky hands. She smiled for the cameras, but inside she felt like a bird with broken wings locked inside a golden cage. Chidimma's family once had money and respect in their town. Her father, Pastor Ezekiel, was a popular preacher, and people came from far to listen to him. Her mother, Mama Grace, ran a small food business, and Chidimma and her younger brother, Somto, went to good schools. Life was simple, but full of hope. But everything changed when her father's business failed. He had invested money into a land project that turned out to be a scam. He lost everything. At the same time, Somto became very sick. The doctors said it was a rare disease and treatment would cost millions. The family used all their savings, sold their car, and borrowed money from church members, but it still wasn't enough. Chidimma had to drop out of university in her final year. She had dreams of becoming a lawyer, of standing in court and defending the weak. She loved books, especially those about justice and strong women, but those dreams began to fade. One evening, she sat on the hostel bed, holding her phone with tears in her eyes. Her boyfriend, Jide, was on the line. I'll wait for you, he said. Even if you're not in school, we can still be together. But Chidimma had already made a decision. No, Jide, don't wait. I'm not who I used to be. She ended the call, knowing she had broken both their hearts. Back at home, silence filled the house. Her mother cooked but hardly ate. Her father stayed locked in his room, praying loudly. One day he came out and said, Chief Uche wants to marry you. He's a good man. He can help this family. Chidimma stared at him. But he's older than you. He is God's instrument, her father replied. This is not about age. It's about saving your brother's life and keeping this family from shame. Her mother didn't say anything. She just looked at Chidimma with eyes full of pain. That night, Mama Grace knocked on her door and came in quietly. She didn't speak, just held Chidimma's hand and cried. Days passed. Chidimma began writing in her old diary again. She wrote about how she used to dream of wearing a lawyer's robe, walking with confidence, changing lives. But now, she felt like a prisoner waiting for her chains. Sometimes she watched her father kneel and pray with passion. God is making a way, he would say. Your marriage is a blessing in disguise. But Chidimma didn't feel blessed. She felt invisible. People in the church started talking. They said she was lucky. They said she was smart to catch a rich man. But none of them knew what it cost her. She walked through the market one day, and a woman whispered, That's her. The girl marrying the chief. She's set for life. Chidimma kept walking. Her face showed no emotion, but inside, she wanted to scream. At night, she sometimes sat in her small room, holding Somto's hand while he slept. His breathing was heavy, and machines beeped beside the bed. She loved him deeply. He was the only reason she agreed to the marriage. She told herself, if this is the price to keep him alive, I will pay it. But don't ask me to smile while I do it. Chidimma no longer had dreams. She had duties. She wore nice clothes and sat quietly in meetings. She smiled when told and nodded when spoken to. She did it for her family. But with every passing day, a small part of her heart turned to stone. On the wedding night, Chidimma sat quietly at the edge of the large bed. The room smelled of fresh roses and expensive perfume. The lights were dim. She had taken off her gown and changed into a silk nightdress. Her hands were shaking. Her heart beat fast. She was scared. She had been preparing herself all day for what was going to happen, what she had been dreading since the wedding was arranged. She had prayed it would be quick, that it wouldn't hurt too much, that she wouldn't cry. The door opened. Chief Uche walked in, still wearing his agbada, now looking tired but calm. He didn't look at her with hunger or interest. He walked past her and sat on the chair near the window. Chidimma looked at him, unsure. After a few seconds of silence, he spoke. You don't need to be afraid. She didn't answer. She just waited. He sighed and stood up. I will tell you the truth now. You deserve that much. She slowly nodded. He walked over to a shelf and picked up a black folder. This marriage is not what it looks like. I don't want a wife. I needed a wife. She frowned, confused. I am not attracted to women, he said simply. I never have been. But in my world, business, politics, church, I cannot be who I really am. So, I needed someone like you. Chidimma felt her throat go dry. What do you mean? She whispered. You are beautiful, quiet, respectful. You come from a religious family. You were the perfect choice. People will see you and think, he is a good traditional man. That is what I need. She stared at him, shocked. So, this was never real. Number it was an agreement, one your father accepted. My father knew? He gave a small smile. He didn't ask too many questions. He wanted to save your family. I wanted to save my image. We both got what we wanted. Chidimma stood up slowly, her legs weak. And what about me? You get comfort, clothes, money. He handed her a shiny new credit card. This is for you. Buy whatever you want. Go where you want. Just smile in public and never ask questions. She didn't take the card. I thought you were going to touch me tonight, she said, voice shaking. I don't want to, he said, honest and cold. You are not my type. I will never touch you. He walked to the door. Your room is yours. I won't bother you. But remember, we both have roles to play. Play yours well. Then he left. Chidimma stood there, frozen. At first, she felt a strange relief. She wouldn't be touched. She wouldn't be hurt that way. But as minutes passed, the relief turned into something else. Betrayal. He hadn't married her. He had bought a mask, a doll for public show. Not once did he ask her how she felt. Not once did anyone tell her the truth. She walked into the bathroom. Her reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger. She stared at herself, then pressed both hands against the sink. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. No sound came out, just tears. She sat on the floor and cried, not because of what he said, but because she had no voice in any of it. Not when her father made the deal, not when the papers were signed, not even now. She was not a wife. She was a picture frame, decorated, emptied, silent. Chidimma is cut off from the world she once knew. Her phone is monitored. Her messages never reach her old friends. No one visits. The mansion is big, beautiful, and cold, like a golden prison made of marble. Every day feels the same. Wake up, dress up, sit in silence, smile when visitors come, eat dinner alone at a long table while the staff watches her quietly from the corners. She tries to call Jide, her ex-boyfriend, one night. Her hands shake as she dials the number. When he picks up, she whispers, Jide, it's me. Please don't hang up. I just need to talk. There is silence on the line. Then she hears his voice, low, hurt, angry. I told you not to call me again. You chose your path. Stay on it. Click. Tears drop onto the phone screen. Chidimma's mother calls once in a while, but the calls feel empty. Mama, I'm not okay, Chidimma says during one of the calls. My daughter, you are in a big house with everything. Just give it time, her mother replies gently, but her voice is tired, distant. God's ways are not our ways. Chidimma wants to scream, but this is not God's way. But she stays silent. Her father sends her Bible verses and messages like, you are highly favored. He tells people in church, my daughter is living in blessing. She feels like she's living in a lie. One afternoon while walking in the garden, the chief's son, Obinna, approaches her. He's holding a glass of juice, looking calm. You should enjoy this life, he says without looking at her. Chidimma says nothing. He sips his drink and adds, but stay in your lane. You're not here to shake tables. You're decoration. Act like it. Then he walks away, leaving her heart beating fast and her palms sweating. The staff in the house treat her with cold respect. They greet her, serve her food, clean around her, but never speak to her unless needed, except one person. Ngozi, the housemaid. One evening, Chidimma finds Ngozi cleaning the guest room. She sits on the edge of the bed, tired and quiet. Madam, are you okay? Ngozi asks carefully. Chidimma shakes her head slowly. Ngozi sits beside her, keeping a small distance. This house is beautiful, but it swallows people, she says softly. Chidimma looks at her surprised. Ngozi lifts her sleeve, revealing a faded scar on her arm. I've been here 5 years. I've seen things. You are not the first woman who came here smiling and ended up crying. Chidimma blinks back tears. I feel like I'm disappearing. You're not, Ngozi says. You're still here. Your voice is still inside you. Just quiet for now. For the first time in weeks, Chidimma feels seen. Later that night, she eats alone again in the dining room. The spoon feels heavy in her hand. The food has no taste. The silence is loud. She looks at the empty chairs around the table and thinks, is this my life now? A doll with no friends, no love, no future. She sleeps during the day and stays awake at night. She stares at the ceiling for hours. Sometimes she doesn't speak all day. She begins to forget what joy feels like, forget what laughter sounds like, forget who she used to be. But in her heart, something small still burns. A quiet question that refuses to die. Is this all there is? Or is there more? Chidimma finds hidden documents in the chief's study one rainy evening. The house was quiet, and Chief Uche had traveled to Abuja for a business meeting. She had entered the study to find a book to pass time, but curiosity led her to a locked drawer. To her surprise, the key was already in it. Inside, she found several folders, bank papers, property deeds, and one thick envelope marked private. She opened it slowly. It was the marriage contract. She sat down and read it line by line, her eyes wide with shock. There was a part called the moral image clause. It stated that if either partner publicly behaved in a way that could damage the image of the marriage, especially acts that went against public or church standards, the other had the legal right to dissolve the marriage without penalty. Her heart beat faster. She read the clause again and again. Then she read another section and saw a list of properties that would automatically go to her if the marriage ended under that clause. Chidimma sat in silence, her hands shaking, her mind racing. She remembered Chief Uche's cold words on their wedding night. She remembered the pain, the lies. But that was not all. At the back of the folder, she saw printed screenshots, photos of a boy, maybe 19 or 20, smiling in expensive clothes, standing beside Chief Uche in different places. Notes were scribbled on the back: keep him quiet, pay tuition, arrange private flat. Chidimma's stomach turned. She closed the drawer slowly and walked back to her room. That night, she didn't cry. She didn't sleep either. Instead, she stayed up reading. She searched online about contract law, about moral clauses, about divorce under Nigerian custom and civil laws. She wrote down notes. She made a plan. The next week, she told Ngozi, I need a good lawyer, a woman, someone quiet but smart. Ngozi nodded slowly. I know someone. She helped my cousin escape a bad marriage. A few days later, Chidimma met the lawyer in a small cafe in town. Her name was Amaka. She was calm, sharp, and didn't ask too many questions. After hearing everything, Amaka looked her in the eye and said, You have a chance, but you must be careful. If he finds out you're preparing, he'll shut everything down. Chidimma nodded. I've been quiet too long. I'm ready. Amaka smiled. Then let's begin. Back at the mansion, Chidimma started dressing differently. She wore bold colors. Her head was held higher. People noticed. Obinna gave her a strange look one morning. What's with the confidence? Chidimma smiled politely. Just trying to enjoy my blessing. She spent more time with Ngozi, not as a madam, but as a friend. One afternoon, Ngozi said softly, You are not a prisoner unless you accept the cell. Some of us gave up long ago, but not you. Chidimma reached for her hand. I thought I was weak, but I'm learning that silence doesn't mean defeat. It means I was waiting. At night, she returned to the study and copied more papers. She made backups. She gathered proof. She even took photos of the notes about the young boy. She was no longer just surviving. She was preparing, not for revenge, but for her freedom. Chidimma sets a trap with quiet confidence. She tells Chief Uche she wants to host a charity event for widows and orphans, something good for the family name. He agrees quickly, thinking it would boost his image before the next election season. He even praises her for finally understanding how things work. But behind her calm smile, Chidimma is planning everything. She works with Amaka, her lawyer, to time the press leak perfectly. The folder of evidence, photos, receipts, messages, and testimonies is ready. Ngozi helps make quiet calls. The boy who was being groomed finally agrees to speak, under protection. The event day arrives. The mansion is decorated beautifully. Red carpets, fresh flowers, media cameras, politicians, church leaders, and socialites fill the garden. Chidimma wears a deep blue gown. Her makeup is soft, her posture strong. Chief Uche walks beside her proudly, unaware. The speeches begin. Chidimma thanks the guests, talks about helping the poor, and praises strong families rooted in honesty and faith. People clap, cameras flash. Then, as the guests begin to eat, phones start buzzing. One reporter gasps, another whispers, "Check Twitter, right now." On the big screen set up for charity slideshows, the live feed glitches, and suddenly changes. Images appear. Chief Uchi's face with the young man, a receipt from a private apartment, messages that clearly show their secret relationship, a video statement from the young man, tearful and scared. He promised to pay my fees, but then he wanted more. The garden falls silent. Chief Uche's face turns pale. He grabs the microphone. "This is fake. It's a lie." But nobody listens. Politicians quietly walk away. Church leaders avoid his eyes. His political party tweets minutes later, "We distance ourselves from this behavior. A full investigation will follow." Then Chidimma takes the mic. She looks at him, calm, clear. "You used me," she says. Her voice doesn't shake. "You used my body, my name, and my silence. Now I'm using truth." Obinna tries to walk toward her, but two security guards, hired by her lawyer, block him. She turns to the crowd. "I was forced into this marriage to save my family. I was lied to. I was made invisible, but I'm done being quiet." Flashbulbs go off like fireworks. Later that night, the news channels play her speech over and over. People online call her brave, a survivor, a smart woman. Hashtags trend. Celebrities post her photo. The next morning, Amaka files the annulment papers with a thick stack of evidence. The moral clause is clear. The law is on Chidimma's side, and this time, so is the world. After the scandal, Chidimma becomes a name people don't forget. Her phone is full of missed calls, messages, and interview requests. But she doesn't rush into anything. She spends her days resting, reading, and walking by herself. For the first time in a long while, no one tells her what to wear, what to say, or who to be. One afternoon, a calm woman from a women's rights NGO visits her. They offer her a full scholarship to finish her law degree, along with a platform to speak about forced marriages and women's rights. "We believe your voice can help others," the woman says. Chidimma feels her eyes water. She says yes. That evening, she finds Ngozi in the kitchen, washing dishes quietly. Chidimma walks in slowly and says, "You stayed, even after everything." Ngozi looks up, then wipes her hands on a towel. "I stayed because I was watching," she says softly. Chidimma frowns. "Watching?" Ngozi nods. "I wanted to see if you were different." She pulls out an old photo from her apron pocket. It's faded, but clear enough. A young girl stands beside Chief Uche in a church compound. "That's me," Ngozi says. "His daughter, born before his first marriage. He denied me. My mother died with shame in her heart. So, I came here, as a maid, to understand the man who caused us pain." Chidimma's mouth opens slightly in shock. "You're his half-sister," Ngozi says, her voice steady. "And I watched you suffer the way many women in this house have. But you didn't break. You changed the story." Chidimma steps forward and hugs her tightly. For a moment, neither of them speaks. "You saw me," Chidimma whispers. "Yes," Ngozi replies, holding her. "And now, the world does too." Later, Chidimma goes to a quiet beach alone. She carries her wedding gown in a bag. The sky is cloudy. The wind is strong. She pours lighter fluid on the dress and sets it on fire. The white lace turns black, then to ash. She watches until it disappears. No tears, just peace. That week, she sits in a TV studio for an interview. She wears a simple red blouse and minimal makeup. The host smiles and asks, "What do you want young girls to learn from your story?" Chidimma looks at the camera. "No one saves you but you," she says. But when you speak, others will stand with you. Even if your voice shakes, let it be heard. Silence is the real prison. The video goes viral, and Chidimma's story becomes more than survival. It becomes strength. 6 months later, Chidimma wakes up in her small apartment. The morning sun shines softly through the window. She ties her headscarf slowly, enjoying the peace. Birds sing outside. The air smells like freedom. She walks to the tiny kitchen and makes a cup of tea. The room is quiet, but it feels full of hope, full of new beginnings. Books are stacked neatly on her reading table. Her law school ID card lies beside a blue pen. She touches it gently and smiles. A knock on the door breaks the silence. It's the postman. She thanks him and closes the door quietly, holding a plain white envelope. She sits and opens it slowly. It's a letter from Obinna, Chief Uche's son. His handwriting is sharp and serious. He writes, "Chidimma, I judged you without knowing you. I believed what I was told. I thought you were just another gold digger, but you proved all of us wrong. You stood up, you told the truth, and I'm sorry for how I looked at you, for the words I said, for not seeing the real you." She reads the letter twice, then folds it and places it inside a drawer without a word. Some things don't need answers. She stands and picks up a small piece of paper from her bag. It's her law school acceptance letter. She walks over to the wall, smooths it out, and pins it up. Then she steps back and looks at it. It's more than just paper. It's proof that she took back her life. Later that day, she walks to class with her backpack. The sky is blue. She passes people in traffic, hears music from shops, smells roasted corn by the roadside. Everything feels alive again. She sits in a classroom filled with young men and women. Some look nervous, some are excited. Chidimma just feels calm. The lecturer enters and begins to speak. Chidimma opens her notebook. She writes her name at the top of the page. For a second, she pauses. Then she smiles. Not because everything is perfect, but because for the first time in a long time, her life belongs to her. And that is enough.